How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez and Dave Meltzer here. Wrestling Observer Radio, September 6, 2018. Figure4online.com/wrestlingobserver.com. Got a lot to talk about today. Dave's about to head to the UK.
Yay.
Can you believe it? You know what, Dave?
I can't believe I finished the issue.
Well, that too, but last week at this time,
I was dreading everything.
I said, Dave, we're about to head to StarCast and All In. And you said, and I quote, yay. And look at how much fun you had.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun last weekend.
So here we are a week later, and you said the exact same yay.
Yeah, you know why? Because I'm exhausted.
Where is that? Yeah.
I'm exhausted, and next week's going to be even tougher because this one I got back on Sunday night. This next one I'm getting back on Monday night. So I was able to finish the issue because Sunday I actually worked on the issue all day at the airport, so I did get enough done to where I could finish it while killing myself. So this week coming up with Monday, I mean, I'll do an issue next week for sure, but it's going to be like a day or two late. Like this one, the problem was I would have had no stress if I could have been a day late, but it was the way the schedule was. I couldn't be a day late. So there it is. I'm done. And this was a very difficult issue to do, but it's done, and there's a lot of news in it. And
well, let's start with the big story because people ask about it every single solitary day.
Yeah,
Daniel Bryan is signed.
Yes, Daniel Bryan signed his contract in the last couple of days. I think it may have been Monday. I'm not sure the exact day, but it was in the last couple of days. But as of Monday, it was not official because WWE had not yet signed it, but that is a formality, and it probably will be executed if it isn't already any day now. So, yeah, he signed. So, I mean, it was pretty much expected it's been a given for a while. I'd say, a couple weeks it's been a given?
Well, I mean, It's probably been given for ever, but I know he was thinking this and that, but I mean, it's been weeks and weeks and months that he was basically saying there's a 90% chance of him re-signing, so.
Weeks, not months. He was definitely considering. It wasn't until the situation came where he really couldn't leave, that at that point I think that it was just like, well, since it's not worth getting in a legal fight over, since he doesn't, then he might as well stay. It was a tough decision. You can't, like I said, you can't be Daniel Bryan and watch G1 and not want to be there. But in the end, the nature of the contract that he had signed in 2012 was going to be, WWE thought that it was still valid for another year. So that's the situations. But now it's all set straight. And, I always expected he would stay, but I expected it more than probably was the reality of it at certain points. But that's what happens. So now the next contract. So to see what everybody else does. So on the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes and Adam Page, the idea is that they're going to stick together. And what that means, literally nobody knows. It could go many different ways. There's many different things going on. So, but whatever it will be, I guess that's going to be the next news. Kenny Omega's in that boat too. So that's going to be the next news between now and end of January as far as contracts. Jericho, we'll see. We'll see, what happens with Jericho. He's not in that deal. As long as those guys are on the outside, I would expect Jericho. I don't see Jericho signing with anybody. He may do WWE big shows like Saudi Arabia or something like that. By the way, the Shawn Michaels thing, if he does wrestle, it is Saudi Arabia. If he does, that's the big money show. But he did the last Saudi Arabia show, so it's but who knows what WWF's going to think, because he did work. He now has worked in the United States, and he's made it very clear he's open to working in the United States for anyone, including Impact, including, I can't see him. I can't see him working for Ring of Honor anywhere except the Garden. New Japan, obviously. I think he could work any of those shows. And, whether it's in Japan or the United States. So, yeah, that's his situation. So
let's talk about these WGN ratings and more fallout from All In. Almost 200,000 viewers for the show.
Yeah, 196,000 viewers. I don't really know. Like, I've had people tell me that that's good, but and I suppose it is. But I mean, as far as a number where you go, like, people are going to look at it in the television industry and go, "Oh my God, this is a hot act that we need to get in, do something with." It wasn't good enough, I don't think, for that. Would it be good enough for WGN if they wanted a wrestling franchise? Would they look at these numbers as good compared to their regular programming? Yes, that would be the case. But that's a different issue because, well, I mean, it's for now, those guys are under contract to Ring of Honor. Next year they may not. It's one thing to run this big show and be very successful at it. It's another thing. I know some people think that, like, the idea that they would run their own company. I really have had a lot of people suggest that. And, nothing's out of the realm of possibility. But that's excuse me, running a regular company is a much bigger undertaking, much more difficult than running one really big show. Especially now. I mean, that's a tough deal. I mean, I don't rule, I'm not going to say it can't happen. If the right TV deal came across, that would, where it's a viable idea, I mean, there's no reason for it not to happen. But just like to run your own company with the idea that, you're going to, like run your, run your own company and then look for a TV deal, kind of like what Jeff Jarrett tried to do. We saw what happened with Jeff Jarrett when he tried to do it. It's like he's still looking for his first TV deal. So, and Billy Corgan hasn't gotten an NWA TV deal. So it's not, these TV deals are not that easy to get. So, I mean, the show, the numbers on the show, we don't have the pay-per-view numbers as far as traditional pay-per-view, but they were not on DirecTV, so that will hurt a little bit. It looks like about 20,000 internet pay-per-view buys.
All right, we lost Dave momentarily, but he's back, and you were talking about how the internet pay-per-view buys are at 20,000.
Well, it's an estimate. What I know is that Fight TV grossed over $1 million that weekend for everything. Now, some of that was for StarCast, but most of it would be the internet pay-per-views from the show. So it could be anywhere. I would think it would be at least 20,000 buys. It would be at most 25,000, which is a real big internet pay-per-view number, especially considering that if you were going to get it on the internet, you could get Honor Club for $850. Or so, I think is that the price?
I can't remember what the price was for internet.
No, Honor Club. Honor Club.
Oh, Honor Club.
I think Honor Club's something like around there. But whatever you could get it for the Honor Club price, you could get the New Japan World price, whereas Fight TV was like $40. So you would think that not many people would order it, but they did way, way, way ahead of their expectations as far as internet pay-per-views go. As far as regular pay-per-view, there's, I don't know the number. It's too early to get a number. But I do know that on pirated streams, it was roughly the same as a BWE pay-per-view. But that's hard to know what that means because, again, like, does that mean that if they were only on pay-per-view and they weren't available on Honor Club and they weren't available on New Japan World, that they would do what the B pay-per-views used to do, which would be, 150, 200,000 buys? Probably not. The B pay-per-views now, I don't even know what they're doing because WWE stopped reporting them. But, they were doing about 20,000 in the United States on regular pay-per-view. But I don't know what that means for this there's just, it's still a shot in the dark and everything. But the iPay-per-views were way, way, way above expectations. You would think television pay-per-views would be way ahead of iPay-per-views because they always are. But we don't know if this is in this case, we don't know. As far as trending the other numbers, the merch, I don't have the arena merch number, but the T-shirts sold over the weekend were right at $500,000. So, but that includes at the convention. But every single bit of merchandise that was brought to the building sold out, not just the all-in shirts. Every single thing was sold out by the end of the night that was brought there. So whatever they were expecting, they achieved that, and they achieved exactly that because, everything was sold out. So there's a lot to learn. There's a lot more money to be made if there was another show. But if they go to WWE, there's not going to be another show. So there's nothing that's been announced, and just decisions have to be made. I guess they did a 47-minute Being the Elite, which I saw the first 20 minutes before we did the show. And,
that was actually most of it because a lot of it was they aired the entire post-show deal that we saw. So that was probably a good, 10 minutes of that.
Oh, the thing in the ring?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So if you guys missed that and you want to see it, it's on the new Being the Elite.
Okay. And didn't something happen with Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes' dog?
He apologized to the dog.
Was he mean to the dog previously?
They've made up. I guess he must have said bad things about the dog when the dog was running for president. He's apologized.
The dog was running for president? I missed this.
Well, that's what I got out of it. The whole thing was he was talking to Cody and saying things. He was talking to the camera and Cody was looking at the camera, so you were thinking that he was apologizing to Cody. Want things to be the way they used to be. I'd like to give you a hug right now. I apologize for those mean things I said when you were running for president. Turns out he's talking to the dog and not Cody.
Oh, okay.
That was a big storyline there.
Okay, well, I didn't see that. All right.
Well, what did you think of SmackDown?
Well, real quick, since we're still on the subject. So I saw the show on TV, and the whole show, the whole 5 hours. And, it was actually a really easy show to watch considering how long it was. It took a lot of time, but it was really easy to watch. So I would say the Stephen Amell, Christopher Daniels match was definitely better on TV. Some of the stuff that I noticed live, I didn't notice on TV as far as Amell. As far as just, between moves and everything, just not really, whatever, he's not a wrestler. He just, he looked like a green guy. I thought that if you watch it on TV, it's actually pretty impressive how good he looked. I liked the Janela Page match probably more on TV than I did live, although I loved it live, but I loved it even more on TV. I think that there was a lot. It flowed a lot. It flowed really good, which I don't think I really noticed from where we were sitting, how good it flowed and how good, just how well everything was executed. There was really no flaws in the match at all. Other than the fact that Joey Janela had bruises all over the place, which I didn't notice live because we were so far away. But, from some of those bumps that he took on the ladder bump, I don't know about that burning hammer on the ladder thing, but he took it and he was living. Cody and Aldis was definitely better in the building. When you watch it on TV, the one thing that's the one match that I would say when you watch it on TV, you just cannot. It was just much better in the building because of the crowd reactions. You could watch on TV and see that the crowd's pretty hot, but you don't get the flavor of it at all. Not even close of the emotion in the building when he won, the pop when he won, it's a real world title pop when he won. And just the reaction to him when he came out was just really amazing. Omega and Pentagon was the same. Excellent match. Okada and Marty Scurll I actually liked live more, but it was really a good match. And the main event was better. The 6-man tag was definitely better watching on TV. Actually, on TV, it was a freaking amazing match. It was unbelievable how good that match was when you consider that they literally like cut like from 27 minutes to under 12 right before they went out. And it was like you would never know. And it was just, one of the decisions was made that Bandito, because he was the least known of the 6, and this was that he was going to get to do his, like, I guess the priority was getting Bandito stuff in. So he didn't get much cut. Phoenix probably got a lot of stuff cut. But that match was so good, and it probably would have been, I thought watching it there live that if it had gone the 27 or 28 minutes that it was supposed to go, that it could be like a match of the year candidate. And I'm completely convinced that it would have been, because there was so much cool stuff apparently cut. Because the whole match was just one thing after another. It was really, that was an amazing match. So, but yeah, it was, I would say the show's every bit as good live as, watching it on TV is live. Overall, you get the same feel, essentially it was a really, really, really good show, and very, very financially successful show. And I guess in the end, that's a big part of it. So there's really nothing negative that you could say about the show other than, the minor stuff that we've talked about. But yeah.
Alrighty, Smackdown.
Yeah, Smackdown.
I like this show.
If you like the Daniel Bryan stuff, the Daniel Bryan Andrade match was good again. And the Miz stuff was good. It built to the end. Trying to think what else. I guess the 3-way tag started off kind of boring to me, but it did end up getting good. So Rusev Day won, so they're going to be facing Sheamus and Cesaro next week for the title shot, which presumably Sheamus and Cesaro win, although that's not a definite. I guess that as far as a show-long angle with The Miz and everything, you kind of knew that they would meet up at the end. And that was good. The Charlotte and Becky Lynch thing was all right. Trying to do the John Jones Cormier split screen thing wasn't obviously as good as that, but it was something. It was all right. Naomi and Peyton Royce only went minute 31, so there's nothing wrong with that. So Asuka is going to be inserted into that feud as the fourth person, teaming with Naomi against those two, against Billie Kay and Peyton Royce.
It is a weird storyline because the Iconics beat Naomi, then they beat Naomi again, and then Naomi beats them, and that's when Asuka shows up to help. It's like,
yeah, but they were still beating her, but they were still beating her down.
Yeah, but anyway.
The R-Truth stuff was really entertaining. The only problem is that, like, the idea is that R-Truth was acting like the same R-Truth that he's been in the last couple of years. And in the end, the idea is that he showed Ty Dillinger that, in fact, it was all an act and that he manipulated the system to get a main event. The only thing is that he's been doing this for like 4 years, this exact character, and he's never had a main event. And he kept doing it. And you would think that...
Hey, you never give up. 4 years it took him to get this.
Yeah, great at match with The Miz.
He had to outdo Flip Gordon. It was a 4-year build to get his big shot here on SmackDown.
And then what's going to happen?
Probably
it's going to be right back to where he was, probably doing the same gimmick.
What probably will happen is next week they'll do a rematch and Miz will beat him.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure that's about to happen. Because they're not going to leave it like this.
Which is too bad because I like Truth. I think it's been doing a good job. I think it's vastly underutilized.
Yeah, I do too. I think he's very entertaining. But I don't see them doing much with him long run. he got to beat Miz when Daniel Bryan distracted him. And, yep, the thing's still going. I thought that it was funny when, his whole thing of thinking that Maurice was Carmella, and he didn't know that the Miz was married to Carmella, and then he thought there was two Carmellas, and anyway, he pulled it off pretty well. It was actually, it's like pretty goofy, but it was goofiness that worked, which is actually quite rare in WWE because usually the goofiness in WWE doesn't work, but yeah, this one did.
205 Live.
God, I say 205 Live was, so they had about 6,000 people at the Little Caesars Arena. It was not big. When the show went off the air, I mean, it was the same, it looked the same. I mean, literally when they start 205 Live, it's a minute or two later, that place was empty. I don't think there was 1,500 people in the building. It was the worst looking crowd that I can remember for this was reminiscent of WCW TV tapings like in 1993 at the Cobb County Civic Center when they would have like 1,000 people at these tapings and they were just dead. I mean, it was like the place was empty at the start of 205 Live and people were leaving. I mean, like it was just empty. And it was a building that was visually looked almost packed during Smackdown. I mean, they only shot one side, but that side, like you could see a few empty seats here and there, but when they came back, the place was completely empty. Now, as far as the matches went, as usual, they were good. They had Grand Metalik and Tony Nese, which Grand Metalik won with a rope walk elbow. This was really good, but no heat at all. But just both guys. I mean, Metalik is great. They did so much stuff. I was really surprised. Like, Nese did like a 450. And Metalik kicked out. And it's like, I don't know why, like, in a match like this, that someone's going to do a 450 and you kick out. It just felt like, yeah, I mean, if it's like some big championship match or something, I could see that. But in just like a TV match with Grand Metalik and Tony Nese to kick out of a 450, it just, I don't know. When I saw that, it's like, this makes no sense at all. To save that for, you know what I mean? Don't just do it in some nothing match. But yeah, I mean, still, Metalik is great. Tony Nese has got no charisma, but as far as execution goes, he's really good. So yeah, that was a strong match. They did bring up the Drake Maverick thing. Mustafa Ali came in and made a joke about him wearing an Authors of Pain costume, and he just said that what he does on Monday nights is his own business. So I guess he's going to be a heel manager on Monday, and he's going to be a babyface commissioner on Tuesday.
It's bizarre.
Somehow. Yeah. And it looks like with Mustafa Ali, they're doing this Daniel Bryan storyline thing, because the storyline is that he says he's fine and he should be cleared. And Drake Maverick will not allow him to wrestle because he doesn't think he's okay. So he got mad at him last week for showing up and doing a run-in on Hideo Itami, and he told him, no more, nothing. You do not go to the ring until you're cleared. And he's just like, but I'm fine. It's like, you said that before and you weren't fine. So he doesn't believe him. They announced Grand Metalik and Buddy Murphy next week, which should be a win for Buddy Murphy, since Buddy Murphy's going to be setting up for a match with Cedric Alexander for the Cruiserweight title in Australia on October the 6th, which they pushed. There was a match with Noam Dar and Brian Kelly, which Noam Dar won quickly. Leo Rush was doing commentary. So they're setting up Leo Rush and Noam Dar pretty soon. And then there was Cedric Alexander came to the ring and challenged Drew Gulak to get in the ring. Drew Gulak never came. And TJP came out. And TJP and him went back and forth. It turned into a match. TJP is really good. So was Cedric Alexander. So the match was good. But, no matter what they did, this was like, it was just so empty that there really wasn't much you could do. TJP did the broken arm thing that Omega just did and Pentagon did. So they probably watched that match. And then right afterwards, TJP, I think, did he put him in... I think he put him in a Kimura. That's right. He put him in a Kimura, and Alexander survived that. And they came back, and TJP used a knee bar, arm bar. Cedric Alexander won with a lumbar check, and then Drew Gulak comes out. Cedric Alexander wants him in the ring, and from behind, Jack Gallagher attacked Cedric Alexander, and Cedric Alexander cleaned house on Gallagher, and then Gulak clotheslined him and put him in the gulag. So it looks like probably a Cedric Alexander Drew Gulak match in the next week or two on 205 Live. Or if there's a match on the pay-per-view, it would be with Gulak. So, but that's the thing for right now, and the next step would be Murphy, which I think we already had that. We already had Cedric Alexander and Murphy anyway, but I guess for the Australia show.
Well, we got the return of the Mixed Match Challenge. They're doing a round-robin tournament, and 14 episodes, finals, TLC on December 16th. A lot of the same teams as the last time around. Raw has Braun Strowman and Alexa Bliss, Bobby Lashley and Sasha Banks, Finn Balor and Bayley, Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox, Kevin Owens and Natalya. And SmackDown has Miz and Asuka, Jimmy Uso and Naomi, Rusev and Lana, AJ and Charlotte, and R-Truth and Carmella, which I guess plays into this R-Truth Carmella storyline.
Yeah, now that I guess R-Truth no longer wants to have a match with her to get a championship match.
So there you go. It's back. Facebook.
Yeah, I can't imagine. This is just too much product. I mean, they got that. They got the Mae Young Classic. I don't know how much I'm going to be watching of this. I guess they're probably going to cut back on the time of 205 Live. So they'll probably put this on right before 205 Live. But man, I mean, this 205 Live was so pathetic this week. And so one of the things, actually I should have said this. I think the key to, there was a lesson learned, because what they did was, usually it's like AJ Styles or Shinsuke Nakamura would be in the dark match, one of the big stars, and people stay. Well, this time it was Charlotte. They announced Charlotte would be defending the title against Carmella and Becky Lynch. And nobody cared, because everybody left rather than stayed for that match. So that tells you, one thing, that the feud's not as hot as it's perceived to be. And number two, that it may not be, when it comes to getting people to stay the extra hour, that they may stay to see Randy Orton or AJ Styles, but the women put in that position, it did not work at all, because nobody stayed. I'm not sure why Detroit was like that, but man, I never seen a taping look so bad in like 20 years for WWF. It was just, it's just kind of unheard of. But yeah, anyway.
All right, we got the Evolution tickets. How are they doing?
They've sold 7,000. About 2,400 of them went to scalpers. So, I wouldn't call it bad. It's probably going to be the building will probably end up full when all is said and done. But it's not nearly as hot a ticket as I expect it to be, and secondary market is not strong at all. It's much lower than most pay-per-views. So I thought that it would be, because of the heavy push, that it would be bigger, and in fact, that's not the case. It's not a hot ticket at all. It's not a flop, but most pay-per-view, it's definitely weaker than almost any WWE pay-per-view probably in a long time. So, that says something, I guess.
Toni Storm.
Toni Storm will be back in action sometime very soon. Progress announced her for September the 30th, which means that, and they were given the okay to do so. So her evaluation is that the injury wasn't that serious. And I don't know if she's going to be back this week, but she's definitely going to be back by September 30th, unless she has a relapse.
All All right, this weekend we got UFC 225 and American Airlines Arena.
It's not 225. It's like 228.
228.
Yeah.
Tyrone Woodley, Darren Till is the main event for the welterweight title. Darren Till apparently not having a fun time with his weight cut. Great. We're still a couple days away.
Yeah. Just because of how busy. I haven't really been focusing too much on this show. But this is a hard match to pick. Darren Till has looked really good in his recent matches. But he didn't look that good against Wonder Boy. He's a lot bigger than Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley's like a wrestler, but when he goes in there with these strikers, like with Thompson, who's a great striker, he more than holds his own. And Till didn't outstrike Wonder Boy. So, it's a lot has to do with style and everything like that. But it's tough to pick. This is a hard one. I know the odds are pretty close to even. And there was talk that if Till didn't make weight, they'd put Kamaru Usman in, which is a very different fight. And Woodley said, "No way, I'm not fighting anybody if he doesn't make weight," because he's not gonna. They got the women's flyweight championship, Nico Montana.
So Colby Covington, by the way, the interim champion, is going to be stripped as soon as this match takes place. Is that right? Stripped of his interim title?
Yeah, I don't get it, but yeah.
All right.
Well, but Usman's supposed to be there ready in case Till doesn't make weight. But I don't know how good that's going to work out if Woodley says he's not going to fight him. So Nico Montana and Valentina Shevchenko. Valentina Shevchenko is favored anywhere from like 11-1 or 17-1. So if Nico Montana, there's never been a challenger favored so much against a champion in the history of UFC.
Wow.
If Nico Montana wins, it's one of the biggest upsets in UFC history. I don't think she's going to win. She didn't look that great when she won the title, and Shevchenko's a much higher caliber fighter in theory. Zabit Magomed Sharipov and Brandon Scott are fighting. Jessica Andrade and Karolina Kowalkiewicz, where the winner of that one is almost a sure thing to get the next shot at Rose Namajunas. So that's one of the bigger fights. There's another big one. There's a couple other big ones. Jimmy Rivera and John Dodson. It's a strong bantamweight fight. The winner's not going to get a title shot just yet, but we should not be far from that. The winner should be pretty close. Aljamain Sterling and Cody Stamann, similar. And Carla Esparza and Tatiana Suarez, the winner of this also. This is a big one only for Tatiana. Carla Esparza, I think we kind of know her level. She's kind of, I guess, like a gatekeeper in the sense that if you beat her, you're probably going to be in the championship contender race. But if you lose to her, you're not. So that's the situation with Suarez, who's 6-0. And if she beats Esparza, she could be pretty close to a championship match. But if she loses to Esparza, I don't see Esparza getting a championship match that soon.
So that is this coming weekend UFC.
Saturday night, pay-per-view.
Saturday night, yeah. Maybe me and Filthy doing that show because you'll be gone. So
I'll be gone. I'll be gone till Monday. And actually, I won't even be back Monday in time to watch Raw because I won't be back probably home until, well, hopefully with the nature of that flight, my flight back. There's with connections and everything, there's a lot that can go wrong. But even at the best case scenario is I won't be home in time to watch Raw, or even watch it, or even have time to watch a replay because I'm getting in late Monday night, which that's gonna make for one more tough week. After that, thank God. Then the next week is like insane. I don't know how I'm gonna keep up with the next week with the anniversary show, Bola, UFC, WWE pay-per-view, 2 New Japan big shows, and I think I'm leaving some stuff out as well. But it's an absolutely insane week that weekend.
Mike Hogwood passed away. He was. Go ahead.
Ring of Honor announcer.
I liked him.
He was all right. He was he was a guy who didn't really know wrestling that they put in the spot, but he was fine. He's a professional broadcaster, and I didn't think he was particularly good. He was okay. That's all I would say. He was serviceable. I never was blown away by him or anything like that.
63 years old.
65.
65.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sad.
Don't have a cause of death. So many deaths. I think I wrote about at least 3 in this week's issue, and
I feel like there's been several deaths every week since the beginning of August.
Yeah, there has been.
Yeah.
Actually, this year there's been a lot. Some real big ones, obviously too.
All right, let's jump into the mailbag here. Mailbag at WrestlingObserver.com. With the continued rise of Ring of Honor and considering the tremendous rise in revenue WWE will be getting, what are the odds WWE seriously revisits the idea of buying Ring of Honor?
Anything's possible. WWE never buys anything. I mean, for big money, they never offer it. That's just not their way of doing things. And I can't imagine the Ring of Honor would be sold for a cheap price. So, you can't say never. And there was talk, but again, of course, WWE will have so much money but they just don't. They're not like UFC. Like UFC, aggressively tries to buy other companies, and WWE doesn't do that. They may buy, Progress or ICW, if they want to take it over. But, if they do, they'll probably close it down. So why would you buy Ring of Honor? I guess just for the tape. The tape library has value for sure. But so I think the only way they would get it is if nobody wanted it and it would be shut down. So you better hope that they don't buy it, because it's going to cost more jobs.
This person here says, any update on Howard Finkel?
No, nothing new on him.
This person says, I'm wondering how much Ring of Honor contributed to All In. Did they contribute anything financially for upfront costs? Did they provide any production staff or equipment? And do you know what kind of deal Ring of Honor made with All In for streaming the event?
The impression I got is, the way it was said is that because they're under contract to Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor was good to them and allowed them to do the show, because legally they should not have been allowed to do the show in the first place, that they offered it on Honor Club. Gary Juster was very instrumental in the show as far as teaching Cody and the Young Bucks what you need to do as far as putting on the show. There was Ring of Honor staff there, obviously. Delirious was there, helping in the truck. So, yeah, there's Ring of Honor stuff. But, as far as financially, this was Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks show. We were around them enough. I was around Cody enough that he was in charge. And they were in charge. And it was not a Ring of Honor show. It was not a New Japan show. It was these guys' show. I think, for whatever reason, a lot of people... a lot of people want this to be a different story than it is. I know a lot of people are still trying to figure out how it's a failure when it's absolutely not. But I guess we just kind of learned that that's just how it is. But yeah, it was, Cody Rhodes was the main guy calling the shots, and he was the main guy. Matt and Nick, the rule was all that stuff that they said is real. The rule was that, because there was some stuff that, I had talked with them about certain ideas, and it was like, they had to go, it had to be unanimous pick. All three had to agree. So that was, basically it was exactly as it was portrayed to the people. There's nothing like secret, whatever. But there were Ring of Honor guys that were working the merchandise stand. There were Ring of Honor people around, absolutely. But it was not a ring, and but Cody was the one who called buildings, not Gary Juster. Gary Juster gave him advice on how to do it. So, but yeah, Dana Massey was running. I don't even know. She seemed to be doing everything. If you watch the video, they brought the catered food from Cracker Barrel themselves to the building. I mean, they really did everything. I mean, can't take it away from them. It was an unprecedented thing in modern wrestling, and they pulled it off. And, I mean, the only thing is that they could have made way more money because they could have sold more merchandise, and they certainly could have charged much higher ticket prices. But that's, I mean, if there's a second show, they will go accordingly. And of course they could have run a much bigger building, but they didn't know that going in.
This person here says, why wasn't there a high-profile match between Ken Shamrock and Dan Severn when they were both in WWF in 1998?
Probably because that was the idea, and then in their minds, Dan Severn didn't get over at the level Ken Shamrock did. So I think they did a TV match, but yeah, there was never a big pay-per-view match, which was in fact the plan, but they just never got there. I think it was probably because they didn't think that Severn got over enough.
Spurs says, if All In 2 does take place, where could you see it being held at? And do you think after the success of All In, will wrestlers be more willing to stay on the indies longer and sign exclusive deals with ROH or New Japan instead of immediately jumping at a WWE money offer?
Everybody's different. It depends on what you want. All the guys, Zack Sabre, Will Ospreay, all those guys, they all had their chance. Will Ospreay doesn't seem to have any interest in it. Zack Sabre's told me he has no interest in it. Marty Scurll said he has no interest in it, but that may, but it also could change at times. But yeah, most guys are going to go. There's some people who are very happy working indies. I know Zack Sabre was very, very happy working indies. A lot of guys who work, there's definitely advantages of working New Japan. It's a lot. You're performing. First of all, you're performing at a higher level than you can in WWF because you're working with much better guys. Performances and everything. But for some people, it is. Some people, that's the thing that they like the most, is having good matches. So for them, going to WWE, I should say, it doesn't. You're not going to have, I'm not saying you're not going to have good matches, but you're not going to have as good matches because you're not working with guys nearly as good for the most part. As far as this show, it's one night. Unless that something big happens because of the show, I don't see it making any difference as far as the people who want to go will go, and the people who don't want to go still won't go. If there was some situation where there were quarterly shows that were this big, and they're performing in front of big crowds and they can make money on merch and things like that, from that, would it change it? Yeah, then it would. But I don't think that it's going to be, as a once-a-year show, I don't see it. But who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I as far as changing guys' minds, the ones who want to go to WWE that get a chance when that's their dream are still going to want to go. And the ones that it's not their dream, some of them would go there for money, and some of them would just go, it's not my dream. My dream is being on this side. And they'll stay on that side.
This person here says, with all of the positive tweets and responses by WWE employees towards the success of All In, Dustin, Mickey, etc., do you see Vince?
That's the only ones were what I mean, who did? Okay, Dustin's brother won the NWA title, so he's gets a pass. Mickey's husband is on the show, so you can't very well get mad at her for congratulating her husband on working well. She's married to Nick Aldis. Daniel Bryan did, but what are you going to do? You can't punish him for doing it. I thought that it was actually that there really weren't that many people doing it. Was there more?
I only know those. I mean, there may have been one or two. Anyways, question is, would Vince hold this against them, or would he just keep quiet because he wants to sign everybody from the show?
He's not going to hold. I can't see him holding against them. The people I mentioned, I can't see him. No, how I don't see him holding it against him. I think they'll be in the same exact spot they would have been in.
This person here says, have you heard anything from the Bucks about the main event being cut short? I would assume it being their big match for the weekend, they may be upset. However, maybe they're taking the high road and not commenting at all, saying that the show was an overall success.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Have they made any public comments? I mean, yeah,
the
after
only
the
thing that I heard was,
well, they did the thing right after Nick said the thing in the ring right afterwards, but he didn't.
I'm talking Marty Scurll did an interview, and basically he claimed he only went a minute long.
I know he claimed that.
I don't know why he claimed that. That was weird.
I know. I was in contact with him and pretty much said the same thing to me. So he said the same thing that he said, that I watched that match again. Okay, so he said that Nick said not to cut anything out. Now, I guess you could take, if they thought he was supposed to only go 14 minutes or whatever it is, right? Yeah, you would say don't cut anything out. But you watch that match, and it is so clear from the very beginning, the way that match is laid out and paced, that those two guys were planning on going way over 20 minutes because it was really slow before they started getting to the key spots. And it was not even close. I mean, at the 14-minute mark when it was supposed to end, it was like they weren't even close to where they needed to be for the finish. Not that it wasn't a good match. It was an excellent match. But, yeah, I mean, as far as why, I don't know. As far as were the guys upset, overall, big picture, those guys are thrilled. They're absolutely thrilled. It was a dream. It's probably professionally the greatest, not even probably, it was professionally the greatest day of all of their careers. Every one of them would say that, I think. I know, one person after another told us all weekend that was on the show, and they pretty much have said it, all of them. So they're not sad about it. Now, is there a sadness that they could have had one of the best matches of their careers and they didn't? No, it's still a hell of a match, but the potential was there to be much better just because they wouldn't have to rush and with the talent involved. I mean, it's like, it's not every day that you have the Young Bucks teaming with Kota Ibushi. I mean, that match is just, you look at that match on paper, and I mean, it's like, when I looked at it on paper, it was like, this match is going to be absolutely out of this world. And it still was. But yes, it would have been a better match had it gone longer, and you can't run it back. Rey Mysterio Jr. is done as an indie. He's going back to WWE. And it's a long-term contract. I don't know exactly how long. I could find out. I know that WWE was wanting 3 years and they were wanting 18 months. So I'm going to guess that it's probably somewhere in between the two things. But still, it's by the time Ray gets out, I mean, I'm sure he'll still be good. But I mean, maybe he'll be the same. I mean, he'll be different, but still capable of doing a great match, probably in some form. And Bandito will actually only get better, but yeah, I don't know that you can't really, now we're talking about years down the line. So, yeah, but yeah, the reaction that they had is the obvious reaction, but overall, were they mad or happy? They were thrilled beyond belief. The match being cut was what it was, but they were more interested in the show, because they had financial interest in just the idea of proving something, which they did, as opposed to having a great match. But they absolutely did want to top their own show, having that incredible match that they should have had, and that didn't happen.
And finally, here this person says, have you heard of the now legendary Puerto Rican tag team performers known as Thunder and Lightning?
Of course I heard of Thunder and Lightning. They've been around forever.
I was a big fan of them when I was a kid watching an IWA, Puerto Rico, and WWC. Was quite shocked to see a few weeks ago. They're still going.
Yeah, they've been around. They've been around. Yeah.
Any stories you'd like to share?
I don't really know too much about them. Yeah, but they've been around forever.
Still going strong. Well, what's going on this weekend in the UK? Let's get some plugs in if anyone's there and wants to go.
Yeah, so I'm going to be in Manchester. They're doing a Hall of Fame ceremony, me and Colt Cabana. WrestleMedia Hall of Fame, I think it's the first class. Me, Colt Cabana, and Finn Martin, who's longtime writer there, and I think Marty Goldsmith, who was the promoter of the SummerSlam event with Bret Hart and Davey Boy Smith, that drew nearly 80,000 people at Wembley Stadium. Sold out. They announced a little over 80, but it was just under 80, 79,127 fans. So we'll all be inducted, and I'll be doing a Q&A with Kenny McIntosh. I believe that's on Sunday, and there will be Revolution Pro is doing the British J Cup, but no Zack Sabre. Actually, I don't know about Zack. No Will Ospreay. Let me see the. Hold on. The first round matches are. See if I got him. I know I got him here somewhere. So that's going to be Saturday and Sunday. And the first round is Kushida against Chris Ridgway, Jushin Liger against Kyle Fletcher, who's gotten really good, by the way. El Phantasmo against Bandito, so I could see Bandito again. Yo against Taguchi, Curtis Chapman against Rocky Romero, Show against Dean Allmark, and Tiger Mask against David Starr, and Flamita against Rich Swann. So there's a lot of talent there. And there's also going to be an Impact show. So 2 Revolution Pro shows because of the Saturday night and Sunday afternoon, and a Impact show. And I may be also doing a show with Pat Patterson. I actually don't know that I am. Yeah, it was Sean Waltman was going to, and they asked me, since Sean is not going this weekend due to a visa issue, I believe. Or a passport issue. I'm not exactly sure. Well, same thing. But they asked me if I would do it, and I said sure. But that doesn't mean he's agreed to it. So it may not happen. I don't know the answer to that one. So there's that, and I guess there's probably meet and greets and all kinds of stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it. I've been in England in I think 9 years. Something like that. It's been many, many years since I've been to England. Hopefully I'll have time to do stuff besides wrestling, although I don't know what that would be. Although I do want to watch. If anyone's there and you can watch UFC, let me know, because I really do want to watch the UFC. I don't want to have to come home and watch 6 hours of UFC on Tuesday. That's just sounds like a horrible idea. So, yeah, I have no idea if the hotel will have BT Sports. So I would like to see UFC when I'm there, and that's pretty much it, I guess.
Alrighty, that's it for here, everybody. We've got the latest issue of The Observer up on the front page, so check that out. Lots of shows, lots of great stuff, so check it out, and that is it. We'll talk to you again after a while.